Hi, Peter Allen's Finger Transformation, and what I want to discuss today is I've been working on the upper traps and kind of trying to get my chest and my shoulders back to their original position. And I realized, it's not so much, our traps are elevated for a lot of people, myself included. I didn't realize how high they had gotten because the humerus should kind of sit down in the socket, okay? All too often it's kind of up level here. So it should be sitting down so that the pec muscle can come across. And I realized from years of kind of coming up and pulling my shoulders back, I thought I had it down, but you can see that it's elevated. So it should be here, not here. Now that I started to get them into place, I've been able to break up the tissue in the front delt, pectoral, and again, I can see how much scar tissue is kind of holding me back, because again, the part of the pec and deltoid all kind of connect to the clavicle bone here. And again, all too often, we're kind of getting stuck in like this, and over time, this is how we're getting kind of sloping shoulders. The deltoids aren't kind of well defined, neither ends up the biceps. And again, if this is out of position, it's going to be really hard to fix the elbow, bicep, kind of anything. And so what I've been kind of doing is just kind of getting up in the top of the gun here. Loosening up in by the neck, because again, if you think of the traps, they come all the way from the tip of the shoulder up and attach to the back of the head. And I realize that's kind of, again, what causes probably most people their neck pain and discomfort, is because your traps are doing one thing, your lats are doing another, and then we're doing something different with our head, because again, now our sternocleidomastoid attaches to the clavicle area here. So all too often, we got all these muscles doing different things, and when the bones get out of position, such as kind of like I talked the other day, maybe kyphosis, but again, even maybe something not that bad, of just kind of jutting the head forward, the bones are going to come out of alignment in the spine, in the cervical area. So now we get those out of alignment. Now we're going to start to kind of overuse our sternocleidomastoid. But the big thing is, again, removing our muscles. The more we can move them through these different patterns, the better. Trying to get a big motion, working scapular retraction, kind of you name it. But one of the key things to kind of start is one, to free up that shoulder blade, that I've kind of showed before, by kind of attacking the lat, getting in behind here, rear deltoid. Again, even your tricep kind of flows right through here and down the arm. So it's kind of lunge lady arms, as some people will describe them. This is the reason the humerus gets too tight to the shoulder blade, and the muscles become too tight. And that's, again, a lot of times why muscles just kind of seems like it's hanging off the body. A lot of people are mistaking it for fat, and really it's not. And what I want to do to kind of loosen the traps, again, there's kind of no right or wrong. Big thing is just kind of finding out what works best for you. None of this should hurt, by the way. If it hurts, then you got to go to a different area that's not so tender. Okay, so this way, come up over on the top. Now what I'm going to try and do is hollow out. Now I might come up over the top. The idea is just to get healthy fascia moving again, the muscle tissue, increasing range of motion. And that's what you're going to get with this. You can get it through exercise too, but you have to be careful. Go to the other side. Of the exercise you're choosing. A lot of time we're kind of just choosing exercises that we do anyways throughout the day. And sometimes it's hard to get out of that comfort zone, and all too often it's hard to kind of know what good form is or good mechanics. And myself included, sometimes we think we're doing one thing, and then you kind of might look in the mirror and realize you're doing another. So that's what I'm going to start to do too for my clients is I'm going to start videotaping their movement patterns so that they can start to kind of see what's happening in space and time, and send them their individual workouts so they can get a better idea. It's, you know, kind of what professional athletes do in terms of fixing their mechanics or understanding how they're moving, because a lot of times we can't see it ourselves, or we think we're in one space and find out that we're not. You know, so if you're squatting and you're kind of hinging over too much, you want to work on getting upright. You know, maybe rounding the back too much. I mean, there's a million things over time, and they kind of do the workouts. You'll start to see what I'm talking about. Open that chest up like traps. You notice my left's a little bit tighter now. If I'm right-handed, my right's going to move much better than my left. I always thought because I had better range of motion kind of with my arm, that it was more flexible, but it's just, you know, the things that I'm more comfortable doing with that arm. But I can't do the same with the right. And all too often what I realize kind of is a flexibility problem for a lot of people. So like my right arm, but I realize it's that front delt, okay? We get a ton of scar tissue that develops here. I'm not actually on the bone. The bone's about 2 inches deep there. So myself included, I started to realize like, this is just hard scar tissue that's just sitting there right on the front. You know, everybody, again, is kind of thinking, oh, that's the bone, you know what I mean? Myself included. And then I started thinking like, you know, if you get a shot in the arm, they're going a couple inches deep in there. So the humerus is sitting relatively deep in there. Even in the front, I guarantee it's about an inch, maybe an inch and a half before I actually would hit the bone there. And, you know, I have my front delt, my bicep, my pectoral coming across. So, you know, if I want to increase range of motion too, that delt region, as I explained earlier, it comes right in, attaches to that clavicle area. So your front delt or your delts attach clavicle, top of the shoulder, and then to the shoulder blade. And if you think about it, there isn't a movement you don't do that involves your deltoids. If that arm's moving, the deltoids are supposed to be doing kind of the work. But all too often, I believe, you know, they're getting so tight that we're having to rely upon other muscles. This is why a lot of people bring in the traps, because the traps are so strong. And again, same thing, the traps come in on every motion pattern. Same thing, my pecs should come in on every motion pattern with my upper body, my back. So every movement, when I'm moving my arms, in some way or another, each of these muscles are playing a role. But again, if they're too tight, they're not going to play the role that they're supposed to. And that's kind of all too often what I've started to realize. It's our flexibility. You know, no matter how many kind of wall stretches you do, it's, you know, not going to break up that scar tissue at all. But with percussion therapy, you can kind of start working that. Again, it's about systematically working it. It's about, again, not going to the sore areas. I've realized the best way to fix something is to find out what is making that area sore. So if it's sore, you want to kind of move to a different area, whether it's the opposing muscle or a little bit maybe downstream or something. But again, a lot of times you can find these areas, and that's what makes the difference. I, for years, spent my time chasing my sore muscles, not understanding that my sore muscles are the ones actually doing the work. And what I need to do is loosen up the movement or the muscles so that I can get other muscles to kind of start helping. Because that's really what it's all about, is, you know, the body working as a collective with purpose, but all too often our tightness is making us or forcing us to have to do a movement pattern that we don't want to do, but we just don't really realize it because it's tough to judge if you're off a centimeter, a millimeter, whatever. You know, it takes a lot of training to understand that and to see that happening, and then it takes even more training and understanding to know how do I get out of it and how do I fix it. And that's what I've been studying for years, is how do we fix these things? What's the best way to do it? So got any shoulder issues, traps, arm issues, you know, this is where you want to start, okay? This area, kind of getting the tissue moving. I recommend doing it after workouts. The more you do it, you know, the more time you kind of spend just getting your fascia to move, and if you can start doing this when you're younger, I mean, in my opinion, even better. You know, I'm figuring all this out at 42, but I think if somebody were to start doing this at 22, I mean, sky's the limit, man, in terms of what can happen. Hopefully you found this video helpful, and stay tuned for the next one.